Hello, this is the Clay Golem. Welcome back. We are back in Dungeon Alchemist and we are doing map building. So after our initial look at that, obviously we did a video about doing the exports and stuff. So if you're interested in that, go and watch that video. But there were some requests to actually watch a build. So that's what we're going to do in this one, although we're going to do a second build because the first one's already done. But I had some significant issues with the stupidity of Windows deciding to use something else as the microphone. So the audio was absolute pants. So I have not not uploaded that one. You don't want to hear that. It's awful. Very, very tinny. So what we got here, so I was building, I chose to build a tavern because taverns are kind of universal, you can use them everywhere. I built the Elf Song Tavern that is in Baldur's Gate. It's part of Descent into Avernus, so it's all part of that adventure series. But taverns are taverns are taverns, and almost every single adventure has a tavern, so even if you're not running that, you've got a tavern. So it is 2 stories, so we've got the ground floor and we've got the upper floor. It took quite a while because we were trying to follow what the modules kind of got and have it look and feel the same. That is now uploaded, so if you have Dungeon Alchemist, if you're interested in it, if you go to browsing maps and things like that, you will be able to see that. If you search for Clay Golem, you'll be able to find the Elf Song Tavern in there if you want to use it. Now do note that I've got the green screen on the back here because I want to export it for the levels, take out the green just like we talked about in that previous video so that we can import them into Foundry VTT as tiles which work nicely with levels. So really, really easy to do. Now obviously if you want to put a background on here, you can just come in and adjust the scene away from the what's it called? It helps if I get it right. You know what I mean. Adjust the background, the scenery from green screen, and change it to whatever it is that you want to have for where you're putting your tavern. So you can use it in a forest, you can use it wherever you like. But for the patrons, by the way, you've got an uploaded version of this where I've already turned it into the tiles for you. So if you are one of my patron followers, thank you very, very much. A little gift for you. That's free of charge. You don't need Dungeon Alchemist. I've given you the PNG files, so you've got the 2 tiles that you can do. And I will be adding today's one to that as well. So as I produce this kind of stuff, regardless of what the adventure is for, I will try and make it relatively neutral so you can use it for other things. And the patrons, you will have access to all of those. So today we are going to do another tavern. Now specifically I'm doing the Rime of the Frost Maiden at the moment and I'm building that. We've done showing you building adventures a number of times, so I'm not recording that because it kind of gets old. If you want to learn how to do it, we've got stuff like the live stream, for example. What we're building in this is I'm going to build the Northlook. So the Northlook is in Bryn Shandir. There is no map for this, which is fine, and using the maps in the module is absolutely fine for everything. Haven't got all the inns and stuff like that. You really, really don't need them. But because inns and taverns do tend to be where players orient around, I thought we would build one anyway. So I'm going to create a new digital one, 20 by 15, but that's okay. We can change it if we need to. Again, I'm going to go with that. In fact, do you know what? I'm not. I'm going to go with snow because it is a snow one. Just to give you something other than this horrific green to look at. Evergreen clearing will do. In fact, actually, we don't want that. We don't want any vegetation at all because it's in a town. Water, no water. Snow. I don't want the weather switched on. We use Foundry for that and we're going to do it water level. So let's create that. So we've got a blank canvas that's not quite that glaring green. So we're just going to build one. That's what we're going to do here. Think of it a bit like a live stream. I'm just going to do everything on here. So first of all, I'm going to go to tavern. Now bearing in mind that this is, I like to think about when I'm designing maps for buildings and stuff is Bryn Shandir. It's in Icewind Dale. There's an awful lot of snow. What is there in the way of resources? Trees, rocks, okay, probably both available for building materials. And we're talking about a tavern which is quite substantial. So first of all, I'm going to build They call it Great Hall, which kind of annoys me because it's more tap room should be the correct phrase, I would think. So let's stick something out and let's just start building. It's going to populate. Now, the one thing that slightly frustrates me with Dungeon Alchemist is you can absolutely turn off and say do not populate items in the room, or you can get it to populate items in the room. That's it. It's very binary. It's either on or it's off. What you can't do is say just put a minimum amount in, because I tend to find that this gets really quite cluttered, and when you think about tokens moving around for Foundry, it starts to get a bit crowded. This isn't too bad relative to what it often is, but it does, I do find it quite challenging. I am going to want a kitchen, so I'm going to come and pop the kitchen up here. I'm going to make it 15 by 20. That's probably plenty for a kitchen for a small place, isn't it? I mean, it's got a giant hearth, but we'll change that. We definitely do want to have a pantry, which we can actually put on the bottom here. I'm going to change it to this view, so it's just a bit easier. I'm going to stick the pantry on there. And unlike almost every map that you encounter in published adventures, I'm going to put some latrines in. So they never get included. I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one there. So we're going to have 2 latrines, and do note that I'm putting those, I mean, this is a bit weird where the doors are, we're going to change all that. I'm putting those kind of on the corner because we don't want that, close to the kitchen or too close to the patrons. Now, these rooms aren't joined up. We need to do something with that. I'm going to put a hallway in here, which is going to come down this way, I think. No, I'm not. I'm actually going to expand this room instead, and I'm going to bring that up to the edge where the latrines are. There we go. So that's going to join that on. That's all part of the same room now, and I'm going to increase this here. So this is going to be our main tap room. To be honest, I can just make that part of the same room. I don't need to make it a separate corridor. There we go. That's fine. I do want to have an upstairs to this as well. So I'm happy to leave the kitchen off there. Let's just check again on the basic rooms. We're going to have bedrooms upstairs. We're not going to put a brewery in this. This is not brewing its own stuff. We've got great hall, hallway, kitchen, latrine, pantry we've got, albeit quite small. Again, it's not a huge place. It's going to have a big room, but it's not necessarily going to have anything else. And we do, of course, we need the bar. So I might actually make this bigger to include the bar and to include the stairs up. And we're going to have this kind of jutting out a little bit at the edge there. That's where the chimney's going to be. Right, so I need to clear a bit of clutter here first. And this is what I mean, a lot of this stuff is really good, but actually sometimes it just gets in the way. So I'm going to clear down here as well for a reason that will become evident. I'm not sure that was a door. I think we'll get rid of a few of these bits. Just clear a bit of space because we're going to want some stairs upwards to the main area where guests can stay and stuff. And we've got a choice. Where should we put the stairs? We can put them over this side, or we can put them bang in the middle, or we could put them on here. If we put them on here though, this is potentially going to actually, look, if we have the door for the kitchen, if we have the bar out here, I'm going to put the stairs over here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put stairs over there. I've decided, all right? It doesn't matter. Whatever. just make up your mind, right? Okay, so I'm going to find some wooden stairs. Nothing fancy like spiral ones. Remember, this is not exactly a rich place. Some of these, it's kind of difficult to see what that... I make the same mistake repeatedly with this. If we're using this view, we want to export it. It doesn't matter what it looks like in 3D. We need to make sure it's quite clear what it looks like in this method, because this is how we're actually going to be viewing it. So we've got some stairs here. Now, interestingly, these are ones I downloaded, which are fine. If I snap them, they collide with the walls. So they're not built brilliantly, certainly better than I could do. But if we want to use those and we want them to snap, we can just turn collision off and that will work absolutely fine, so we can stick them there. That's not actually what I want for this one though. What about what about these stairs here? Possibly we could go with just plain, if I turn them around the correct way. That way makes sense. We could just go with plain wooden stairs that go up here. I think that's probably perfectly suitable, don't you? Let's stick them there, which is absolutely fine. I think that will... Yeah, because they're the core assets, they clip against the wall without any problem whatsoever. Now, we have got a hole here. Why am I not putting it against there? Because, of course, we need a landing tile up there that then we have a passage across the room. So I don't want to go right up against the wall there. That wouldn't make sense. All right, so let's start. We've got a bar down here already. I'm going to move that because... Come on. Then it's because of the stalls. Let's move the stalls out of the way. Wants to do the whole thing in one thing. What? Go away. That's interesting. Doesn't want me to turn that one like that. There we go. Alright, so we've got a bar. Oh, it's going to do it now. It didn't want me to turn it for whatever reason. More than likely me than anything else. So we can have like the bar that kind of comes out, you know, along here. And I want to leave enough space behind the bar so a token can move up and down, you know, so your barman can stand there, but also have some gear and racks and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do. But not necessarily that particular bar, and that would be that way round, whichever way round it's going to be is fine. Right, first thing I want to do is my doors and windows. All right, so let's do those kind of things first. I am going to come down into this view for it. We've got lots of windows here, but not necessarily in the places we want. Now, if we're building this for Bryn Shandir, which is in Icewind Dale, the more windows you have, the harder it is to keep the place warm. That's just basic, right? So we do need to be conscious of that. I am going to put some doors in. How do we want to do doors? So I can, of course, I can just put doors in here. Yeah. And I quite like these doors. And the reason why is because we're in that top-down view, you've got these two pillars, which make it much, much easier to see that this is a doorway as opposed to a window when we're in this view. However, if we want to use the Foundry built-in doors that actually open and stuff, then we don't want the image of a door here at all, because that's defeating the object, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that door. I'm also going to delete that window. Oh, that's just where we've got different types of wall. I'm going to come in and I'm going to... no, I'm going to go to walls, sorry. And I'm going to go to this one here, which is delete walls. I'm going to turn it right down. Now what I can do is I can decide where I want my door, there, and delete that wall completely. So we've got a hole, we've got a gap, which when we go to Foundry and we make that a door, we can then use the animated door swingy thing. Woohoo! It's that simple. So I'm going to remove any doors and use that instead. So that is going to be a door there, and that is going to be a door there into there. I'm going to remove that door, not that wall. For the kitchen, I'm going to remove that one there because we're going to get access to kitchen in and out from there, and we're going to access the pantry from there as well. We're not going to have this door. I don't want to remove the wall. Okay, so we've got that one door in, a door to the latrines, a door to the kitchen, and there go, ergo the pantry, and I think that's all we need down here. So let's go back to our doors and windows and get rid of that one. That's fine. I'm going to get rid of this one from the pantry. We don't need a window there. And again, when it comes to windows we're choosing, we want to choose windows that look good from above. So if I change it to that, okay, that's too chunky. If I change it to that, that clearly looks like, or you know, that makes it more obvious it looks like a window. So let's use that one for our windows. Did I just select a door for that? I did select a door for that. Let's at least try and do a window, right? Let's at least try the basics. Okay, so let's go to wood windows. What does that one look like from above? That's good enough, yeah? That looks... I might want one that's slightly wider so it's easier for it to snap. But I'm not sure if that will be a thing. That's going to be a double one, of course, and a triple one. Keep scrolling. Again, I don't want anything that's kind of too chunky and sticks out. And I know that you're thinking already, like, these windows don't make sense in this building. I'm only going to be looking down on it. I'm not going to be in 3D mode because I'm doing this for Foundry. I'm going to go back to that one because it's easy for me to see what that is. Right, I'm going to have a window at the end of this corridor here. I'm going to have a window here. I'm going to have a kitchen window. That will be fine. And I think I'm going to put a window... No, I'm not. I'm not going to put a window there at all. So that's it for our windows. I'm going to get rid of these other ones that we don't need, we don't want. I think that was it. So minimal windows because we don't want everybody just, we don't want all of our heat just disappearing straight away. Now the other thing is we've got different walls here, and again, doesn't matter, but when we look top down, you can see this wall looks different from this wall, etc. So we do want to make our walls all the same when we're in this view. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, is we are going to select a wall. And again, resource wise, yes, I'm happy to say that we can have a stone lower part of this. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like in this view, whether that makes sense, because we're going to be looking at it like this. So I am going to, for all of these rooms, I'm going to give them the same exterior wall. And I'm also, even though it doesn't look right, I'm going to give them the same interior wall as well. And that will probably make sense in a second. I think that's all done. Right. So when we look at it like this, which is the view the players will have when we've exported the map, those walls are nice solid walls. They can see that this floor is stone walls, right? I know I've missed down here. Let's sort that out. Okay, so that makes it nice and clear where the walls actually are in here, which is much, much better. It does bleed over slightly, but that's fine. So that's going to be nice for our walls. That's going to work for us easy peasy. I have realised, for those of you paying attention, it's really difficult trying to do this, trying to think and talk at the same time. Is I had some double doors in there, and also that means my walls are incorrect in this room. So I do need to update those walls as well. I'm pretty sure it was that one. It was. There we go. So that's all going to match. So now it's much clearer where our doorways are, where our walls actually are, and where our windows are. Nice and easy to be able to wall that up in Foundry later. So that's good. So before we go any further, I'm going to pop upstairs and add the next layer onto this and continue building. Now you will see, of course, this is where the top of those stairs come up. It's automatically got roofs on here, but we're going to overwrite those with our various rooms. So up here we are going to have a hallway to start with that comes from the top there, and over there as well. So if we do this, boop, we've got that. We're going to remove the floors. See what I mean? How many lights do you want? Gets a bit silly. Let's plan our bedrooms. I'm going to, this bit that's over the kitchen here, I'm going to make this a it's got to have a fireplace in this as well, because it's above the main kitchen fire. So I might make this a reasonably big guest room. Thinking of that, we should have a fireplace here as well, shouldn't we, in the main room? Because that's the only heating in here. That doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Let's move some of these bits out the way. In fact, I'm going to just get rid of it. Move those out the way. Let's find a fireplace or something, possibly to go in the middle of the room. If we can, a back-to-back chimney and things like that. I'm thinking of British pubs. You go into British pubs, and almost every single one of them that built more than 20 years ago has got an open fireplace, and some of them have these absolutely amazing double-sided open fireplaces, so they're kind of in the middle, and you've got people sitting one side and people sitting the others, and they share the fire, so the fire's kind of in the middle, and I think that's really cool, and it would work for somewhere like this that is really cold. So you could, again, it's not snapping at the moment, you could have that one back to back. Again, we want it to look good from above because that's what we're going to do. So we could put that fireplace in there, we could copy it, and we could put it in there. So it's a double stack chimney. We could do that. Anything else that we could use instead? Of course, we could go download stuff. What about that one? Doesn't look right from the top, in my opinion, because it is only opinion. We don't want anything like that. What about fire grid? Too dangerous. Somebody's going to fall in it when they're drunk. Bakery oven. That's not going to work for us. So we could do something like that. So it's double chimneys going up the middle. Now, if we do that, I'm going to move this back slightly and put it a little bit more central in the room that way, because I'm thinking on the room above, those chimneys coming up, and we're repeating those fireplaces. Then a room one way and a room the other way, for more luxurious guests, shall we say. So let's go with that. For now, we can always change it, and you can see where they are here. So I'm going to go back to my rooms. I'm going to do a bedroom, and I want a reasonably posh bedroom. I think that was the right place. We'll find out in a minute. Not quite. I didn't want to do that. That's not what I meant to do, but that's okay. Let's put it there. So we've got that. We know got that chimney is just down there, yeah. So that's fine. What is this going to be? So if we do this a 3x4 here, if we select this room and we decide to edit it, whoops, we select that room and we edit it, we're going to add on a bit there. We're going to make that fair bit bigger, but that means that fireplace is going to be in the middle for this quite luxurious posh type of room. Good. Right, I'm happy with that. Now we need another room, a separate bedroom that's going to be the other side of that pretty much mimics it, and that's going to have the other fireplace in it. So we've now got these two posh, well heated rooms. Okay, that will work absolutely fine. We need to be able to get to this room down here. In fact, what we could do is we could make... No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to get on and do it. Can you tell I'm making this up as I go along? All right, so if we need a corridor there, that might be a little bit weird. We could have shoved this over all one, actually. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to come in. I'm going to edit this room. I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to add that on. Okay, so the fireplace is going to be to one side in this room. Oh, do I want to do that though? See, now I'm questioning myself. I'm driving myself slightly nuts. I do want to do that. I do. Let's select this room down here now. Let's do the same. Let's shove that over. So again, this is the problem if you're not following a plan, is you dither. I dither. You might not dither. I do dither. I dither. Right. What that means now is, oh god blimey, if I edit this room, we now have this ability to extend this passageway down here. So we can extend it down to here, and now we can have doorways that come into this room, as well as creating this as a separate bedroom down here. So make this a separate bedroom, and I should have added this on while I was there. Don't do that. We should be able to do this, and that should work for us. There we go. So we can turn that into a separate room all by itself. So we've got this room, we've got this room, we've got these two posher rooms, probably one of those that the owners are going to sleep in. We can bring this over here to this room, which oddly enough gives us this slightly strange double corridor thing, and same, we've got this weird thing down here, so that's fine, we can deal with that. And I'm going to bring this one down to here. So this is all that one passageway. Right, let's add a new room on. We're going to add a new bedroom on, and this new bedroom is going to be like this. And this is going to be, when we're going to take the fireplace out, this is going to be like the common room, if you like, where, you know, you pay a couple of copper pieces for sleeping there for the night. Right, let's adjust some of these rooms, fill in all of these spaces. We're going to edit this room here. I didn't want to do that. I want to select this room. I want to edit this room, and we're going to give it a little extension on the end there. Thank you very much. I want to select this room, and I'm going to do the same where it's a weird little, hang on a second, can we get rid of that? That's really annoying. How do we want to do this? We can put the door in there. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to select this room, we're going to edit it, and I'm going to put those two in, so that becomes part of this bedroom. Okay, this is going to make much more sense and look better once we start sorting out the walls and stuff. I promise it will. And we're going to extend this room here as well to include those. So we're filling in all those little gaps here. There we go. Now what we need to do is, just like before, we need to sort out our walls and our doors and stuff like that. So as before, when we're in the top-down view, I want the walls all to look the same. So I want them all to match here, because then they look the same at the top. I'm happy to say that the top of this building is made of wood. So let's select a wood, and this one tends to look quite good from the top. So if I go all the way, I know the outside of the building should not look like that, should it? But that's okay, because we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it. It's fine. Trust me. Trust me like I know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing. You guys know this. Alright, so we've got all of those walls done, inside and out. No, I missed one. There we go. That's better. Right, so now when we do this top down, again, it's really clear where those walls are, which is great. I'm now going to delete all of the doors, which is easier to do in this view to make sure I'm getting the doors. I'm going to delete all the windows as well. All the doors and the windows are going. Oh, that was supposed to be the same passage, but that's okay. We'll sort that out. Get rid of all the windows. That's a stupid place to have a door, of course. Windows. Get rid of that door. It's an awful door. This is what I mean, like, you know, wine rack in the middle of the corridor. Let's tidy up some of these corridors. I haven't done lights downstairs. We will go and do that, but I want my lights to be consistent. I'm just going to clear this area out completely. I should have done these with no furniture, to be honest, just to make life easier. I'm going to leave that. There's a door. Sneaky door. You know, great. Lovely. Okay, so let's create our doorways. Now we're going to do the same as we did before. We're going to select this mode. I'm going to go to walls. We're going to remove walls, and we're going to say, well, we don't want a wall there for a start. This room here, where do we want the door for it? I think we put it in this passageway. I'm going to put it here. For this room, I'm going to put it opposite. For this room, I'm going to put it there. And for this room, I'm going to put it there. So you go to the end of the corridor and you've got doors rather than being a weird little end of the corridor. Now up here, we can use this, allows you to get into this room, and we can get into this common room with door at the end. Brilliant. So we've got our doors, and as we said before, you know, so in Foundry, we can use those Foundry doors rather than having the pictures baked into the map like that. Brilliant. Now we do need to do some windows, bearing in mind what I said before, and I'm going to actually use the same windows because it makes sense. They actually look the same on both levels. Excuse the jittering. We're not going to go mad. These posh rooms might have a window each. And again, I'm not too bothered about it. This is a common room. We're going to give them a little bit of light, but it's not going to be great. We're going to give you a little bit of light, but it's not going to be great. We're going to put one at the end of that corridor, one at the end of that corridor. Just thinking about keeping a little bit of light into, or getting a little bit of light into some of these rooms without going mad. You know, you don't want it to be, you don't want to be burning candles and stuff during the day just to navigate around when it's perfectly light outside. But also you don't want so many windows that you're having to keep all the fires burning, you know, ferociously to keep the place lit because your heat's disappearing out. So it's about making that kind of balance, really. That's fine. Okay, we've got this. Now we're just going to furnish it. We have got an issue here at the top of our stairs where we can see the top of the stairs, but we can't see the actual stairs themselves. So I do need to go to floors, and I want to remove floor, and I'm going to remove the floor from there, and I'm going to remove the floor from there. So now you can actually see down the stairs. Is that perfect? No, it's not, because that is not high enough. So it's up to you. Remember, we're going to be looking at in this view, this is coming up the stairs. We're going to put a region here that will teleport them to here. So is that going to work? I'm happy with that. I think that's going to be just fine. But talking of floors, we need to make sure we've got some consistent floor colouring and stuff that we like. So before I do floors themselves, I'm going to go to the light one. We've got all these shadows in here. I don't want that baked into my map, so I'm going to make it noon, so the sun is directly over the head, which eliminates all of those shadows. We can block exterior light, which is going to make this slightly darker on the inside, but actually I prefer to use this adjuster to adjust it. Now obviously in Foundry we can adjust the lighting of the scene, so we don't need to worry too much of it. It's about getting a good looking map rather than anything else, but I don't want it also being so glary, and I do find when it exports it does change the brightness somewhat. So again, you might want to tweak it afterwards, but let's get this right to start with. Okay, so I'm happy with that kind of lighting level. I think that's going to work fine for the map. Floors, we want a consistent type of floor across the bottom. Okay, so again, that fits in, and actually the floor it's got here is, I think that's pretty nice. It's just it's not consistent. What I don't know how to do is to go, can I pick this floor? That's the one I want to use. Let's see if we can find best match. Well, that one's all right. In fact, actually, that one's a bit better. What I don't like, while it looks really nice, what I don't like is when the floor pattern is really crowded and it crowds everything out. And you kind of, it makes it look too busy. That's okay. So that's going to be our floor for the main room. And what we can do is we can replicate that upstairs as well. So again, we've got that consistency across the map. So we're going to do that. The only thing I'm going to do different is the kitchen floor. We are going to make it stone. Now, a lot of these stone ones, they look brilliant, but that looks quite busy, doesn't it? It's too much space. You know, so well, let's find one. Granite tiles I think works fine. It's not too bright, but again we want a stone floor in there, I think personally. Now we have actually got tiled floors as well. Treasury tile, ugh, don't like that. But like I say, I don't want them. I want the map to be useful. Oh, that's better. It's less busy. That will do very nicely, thank you. Yeah, I don't want so much detail on the map that it's difficult to see what's going on. Even though it looks really, really nice, especially in 3D, things like this table is far too crowded with stuff. You know, it's like if you walk into the tavern and every table is covered with loads of food and stuff, it looks weird. It's like, how much food are they using, and where are all the people eating it? It's overkill. So I don't like to do that. Right, we've got our whole tavern done. We just need to do furniture now. Let's start downstairs. We are going to start with furniture. We are going to find counters and we're going to find a bar. Now remember, we are doing it from top down, so we want to look for a bar or whatever that is going to make sense when we do a top down view. Now we've got this as a corner. I like having corners to my bars, that makes sense. We don't want to be too close to that fireplace, so is that going to, I mean, it doesn't need to be a huge bar, does it? I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to get rid of that bar. I'm going to use this one here. If I hold down shift, I can just keep going, and I'm going to do that. So we've got room to serve people, we've got room to store a few things, and then we can pass behind there and move out across the room if we want to, without blocking the key place for people to sit, which is going to be in front of this nice warm fire, as well as having a table down here, of course, that's going to be very welcoming near the fire. Alright, so I'm happy with having a bar like that. What else do we need? That means I can get rid of a few of those bits. Let's find our tavern tables. Now these booths, if I come out of this, these booths I think are great. They're really quick and easy to be able to place. I am going to get rid of all the beers on there but leave the candles. We can move these to somewhere that makes a bit more sense. Now I'm actually thinking that we can, you know, there's a spot for a latrine there, isn't there, behind the stairs, but we've already got a latrine, so we don't need to do it. So I'm not going to do that there. I am going to put some booths along here. We need to get rid of some of these things that are going to get in the way. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to stick that there. Is that going to get in the way of that fireplace? Is that too bad? I don't know. Is that now, if I move that there, I can take another one of these booths. I'm going to make sure they're all consistent. Copy. Thank you. And we can get out. We can put that there. So there's another one of these little kind of bench places you can come and sit. A bit of privacy here. Yeah, a couple of those. In fact, I'm not even sure that I like that being in front of the fireplace like that. See, that might make more sense. Move that there and have that one there. That might be a bit more sensible. Yes, I think I prefer that, so that's what we're doing. I've got some stools here. I can move these stools and place them by the bar. Nice and easy. And, you know, there are different rotations and stuff like that, but that's fine. When was the last time you went into a pub or a bar and everything was perfectly neat? You know, you don't want it like that. You want to make it look used if you can. I'm going to copy that one and stick that there. And then we're going to put a couple more here and here. Now, note the way that I've done this. For my preference is each of these bar stools is occupying its own 5-foot space. If the characters come in and they come to sit at the bar, their tokens are going to align quite nicely with those individual stools. Yeah, I like that. I think it makes it look, it's a bit weird when they go and they come sit down and they're half on the bar and half off a table. It's all a bit strange, so I do try to do that kind of stuff. Right, this keg is, yep, that can go there. That's not a problem. Yeah, we can put it there, easy peasy. I'm going to take these lights out. We're going to have to go and do lights soon for what we want. Am I happy with that as the cooking range in here? Let's take that out. I'm jumping all over the place because that's generally how I do things. What am I looking for? I'm looking for crafts, and I want cooking equipment. I mean, that's a bakery oven. We can have a singular bakery oven. I do think we want a cooking, might be in here actually, rather than an oven. Oh, I see, that's a corner one. I mean, it's nice, but I don't think that's quite what we want here. Maybe we've got a, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm dithering, aren't I? Not interested in all of that lot. I want a I think it's fine to say we want a bakery oven in here. I think that's perfectly acceptable. I was going to put a fireplace directly above this, wasn't I? So maybe I do need to be a little bit concerned. Concerned? That's not right, the word. Let's go back to... Is it... What was it under? Furniture? Furniture... Or was it structural? Structural. Right, let's go under structural. We've got options of more of these cooking implements and stuff. Sorry, a bit all over the place, right? This is a work. It's a thinking process. That's too small for this. It's a tavern cooking thing. No, that's completely wrong. Too big, too fat. I mean, it works. I'm thinking of Victorian places that I'm going to use that one, okay? Because again, we want the top-down view, right? And I don't want for the room above to have a massive, massive fireplace. We're going to keep it something reasonable. Okay, that will do very nicely for that. We can move some of these bits and bobs around. I'm going to get rid of those. Let's go back to those kitchen ones. So back to craft. We're on cooking equipment, which has a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, I could just search for stuff if I knew what I was looking for. But I mostly haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I think you lot know that, right? Butcher's block. Yeah, butcher's block. There's just these tables that we can stick in. Maybe it's a counter that we want rather than that. We can put, things like that. But again, we don't want to overcrowd it. But you can do things like that if you're looking at it from above, although that looks awful because of the lighting. Clay hearth. Food prep table. That's a little bit bigger. That makes a bit more sense, doesn't it? Yeah, again, looking from above, that's fine. It just looks like a nice workbench. That's all good. Happy to do that. You could argue that's too close to the fire. Whatever. Don't care that much. If the players are focusing on that and that alone, maybe that you need to focus on the adventure a bit more, right? Let's look at farming stuff. It says farming tools, but I think this is where... No, I've lied. Maybe it was under cooking equipment where there was some stores. It literally is equipment. It's just part of the process. Housekeeping, carpenters, butchers... brewers tools. I mean, we don't want brewing stuff, but that doesn't mean we can't have, there we go. Doesn't mean we can't have barrels. I mean, this is a tavern. It's going to have barrels. In fact, if I get rid of that, there we go. So we've got plenty of ale in storage. That will be fine. Top-down view, that's going to look like that. I'm going to get rid of that barrel instead. And then we're going to make sure that we've got some other things in here that don't look like brewing stuff. Why can't I find where it is? I'm sure it's under there. Housekeeping. Certainly don't want it under housekeeping. Oh, we have got firewood though. And we can certainly put some firewood next to our fire. Makes sense. We've got some of these things we're going to put upstairs. Right. Decoration. The paintings, rugs, shields, statues. No, that's not what I want. Food and drink. It might be this is what I'm kind of looking for. I'm not looking for pre-prepped food. I'm looking for raw ingredients that you might find in a storeroom. Well, things like wine racks and stuff like that. I mean, some of these things make sense to go in some of these locations. Not on the bar, because everybody will bloody have it. But something like that, you know, that's what I mean by just little decorations. There's your wine bottles. They're going to want access to those sorts of things, and it might be that there's a, you know, a wine rack in here under that shelf. Again, we're going to look at it top down only, so we need to be careful we don't spend too much time worrying about how it looks in a three-dimensional point of view. Yes, I am talking to myself because I keep bloody doing it. I go, oh, it looks beautiful 3D, and then I look at it in 2D and it's like, that looks bloody awful. What am I doing? Right. Mirrors, latrines. Let's do latrines while we're here. I know I'm jumping all over the place, alright. I'm well aware of that. Let's keep my collisions on. Brilliant. Get rid of that one. With the lid open, again from the top down, it's a bit more clear what that actually is, right? So that's what we're doing. That latrines are done. There we go. So we're happy with that, happy with that. Our bar's good. I know we've got lots of space. We're going to put some other tables and things in there as well. This is looking like a storeroom. What I was actually looking for, which I'll encounter at some point, was, in fact, actually, I could probably, if I actually use the search function, right, we can just put some sacks of things down here, wherever we like. Okay, turn collisions off so I can put it wherever I like. Okay, so that's starting to look like a storeroom. It's a bit more obvious now. That's a kitchen. You can tell by the ovens and stuff. That's behind the bar. That's the latrines. You can tell by that. All right, so let's put some tables out down here. We're going to go to tables. We want some round tables, I think. So they've got these. Well, actually, these are kind of already done. Yeah, I think we might put one of those there. Except this one's going to be different. We can come put this one over here. We can put this one over here. And we can put this one here. And we can put another one here. Yeah, see, it's not too crowded, is it? But what I am going to do is remove some of the things off of these tables. So again, let's remove those mugs. And pull the. I talked about the stalls being in sensible places, so just going to get that to snap to the middle of one. There we go, and then we can put that stall. Just bring them out slightly, so that makes a bit more sense. But I don't want to overcrowd the room. Now, this is the last table you want to sit on. It's right by the bloody door. This table here, we currently don't have any stalls for. That's okay. If I select that and use shift, we can stick a couple of stalls out around here. You know, got to push past to go to the latrines. So these are not the best tables in the place. All right, let's get rid of some of the junk off the top. Control Z is your lifesaver if you're an idiot. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's get rid of all of this junk. And sometimes it is quicker just to get rid of the junk after you've put the stuff out. Other times it's not. Depends which way you want to do it. I just detest having loads of stuff on the tables. But we do need lighting. Now we've got these blocks of candles. Now I'm happy to use those. I mean, I don't want those. 3 candles altogether. This is much more like what I am happy to have, is a candle that's just stuck in the middle of each of these tables. Again, we don't need a 3 one. That's a waste. Our patrons don't deserve that much light. We'd need one over here. So you've got some individual table lighting, but I tend to like these lamps here for the walls because they're quite obvious from above. So we are going to make sure we got collisions on. Thank you very much, because then it will snap. We can put one there and one there. We're not going to go mad with these. We're going to put one here We've already got, I'm going to move that one actually to there instead. We're going to have a lamp in there. We're going to have one over here so we can see what we're doing, and one here. And we've got a window there now. Happy for that to be a dark corner. Right, now as far as I'm concerned, although I'll probably tweak it, just looking top down, we've got the ground floor. We've got our kitchen over here that looks like a kitchen, at least, you know, it's convincing it's a kitchen. We can see the windows, we can see the doors. We've got this room here which looks like a storeroom, perfect. These which look like latrines, perfect. These little booths for sitting in, these tables, we've got the bar, we've got stairs that go up. I think this floor is done without overcrowding it. Yes, there is an argument to say that we need to put a little bit of decoration in here, and I probably will. Now we're on to the up floor. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be back, and then we'll immediately carry on and furnish the top floor as well. See you in a minute. Okay, so I'm back. Right, let's do these bedrooms. Yes. So we said that we're going to, first of all, let's get rid of that bed there, because oh look, that's the top of the other thing, isn't it? Let's get rid of these lamps down here. Interesting. Wasn't expecting to see that. We can cover that up, that's not a problem. We want to put in our fireplace that is here, as well as the fireplaces that are going to be in these rooms. So let's make some space over there. Again, look, you know, absolutely inundated with lights. It's too much, guys. It's too much. Move that out of that room. Okay, get rid of that rug. We might put a rug back in. Right, so fireplaces. Was that one under structural? And it was fireplaces. We can put those back in. Oh, blimey, which ones was it? Easy peasy. Come down here, select that one, go back up, and there we go. And I believe it was there, and it was there. Okay, so they've both got fireplaces now, and we can do the same with that one and pop it over there as well. We've done all our windows. I'm going to get rid of that shelf. I don't want that there. And we're going to put something in that corner. We're going to get rid of that because this is a bedroom. Again, just get rid of these extra lights. Like I say, you might find it easier to build rooms without the stuff in, rather than removing. It's entirely up to you, of course, which way you choose to do that. That's just a weird bit of lighting there. Is that lighting from the outside? Oh no, it's lighting from the fire, of course. Right. Sorry. Just wonder why that looked weird. Okay, beds. Let's go with beds. Beds. We want furniture. We want... come on, beds. They're going to look like beds, aren't they, you idiot? Alright, so if this is going... We're going to say this is the master bedroom. So let's put in a double furnished bed. Alright, let's pop that in. Now we can change it. We can change the colour of the quilts and things like that, which is quite nice. So let's give that a green. Why not? And we've got a couple of pillows here. We can move those if we want to, just adjust them to make it look a bit unique. Brilliant. What else do we want in here? We need a cupboard of some description. We can pop that. In fact, actually, if I... yeah, we can pop that in there. That's fine. That'll do. Cupboard next to the fire. They don't need an awful lot of stuff. All right, we're not talking about rich people here. This is the communal room. Now somewhere there was bunk beds, so I'm going to put bunk beds in here. I'm going to turn them around. We're going to put bunk beds in this room, and we're going to use this, and we're going to put some lockers in here as well at the foot of each bed. So if that's a bunk bed there, move that out the way. Collect that. We can put a bunk bed in here. We can't put a bunk bed in here because it's going to collide because of the light, but that's fine. I mean, we could just turn collisions off, couldn't we? We're going to stick that in there. We are going to get rid of these lights and this shelf and this light and that little unit. We're going to get rid of the book off of there. We're going to copy this. Thank you very much. We're going to put a bunk bed in there. Why did I delete the pillows? Oh, it's because it's because they're random. Okay, we're going to put that one in there. That's fine. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to put that bunk bed in there, and if there's room, we're going to put bunk beds in the middle. Now, why is that one snapping different to these ones? It's a bit weird, isn't it? Whatever. I am going to have one with pillows. So we've got room for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people to stay here. That's a huge common room. And they've actually got bunk beds. Now, because of where this is, the idea is that there are traders moving between the towns quite a lot. You know, there's hunting season and stuff like that. So I think it's logical sense that there'll be plenty of cheap bedding in this. Bryn Shander is the major town, and this is one of the major places that you can stay. So it makes sense that they've got quite a few rooms here. It looks a bit weird without the doors in, but obviously they will go in Foundry. This is one of the luxury suites, so let's put in some furniture to make sure it looks a bit luxurious. We can put in a couple of those. Again, we're going to have top-down view, so we don't need it to be magic. But again, we are going to go with a double type of bed. Not a double bunk bed, that's a bit weird. We don't want to be ridiculous and go like, oh, massively fancy, all right? Because that's not the I don't think that's the right look and feel for this. Let's just go with double beds. We can change the colors of those. We go blue, we got green over there. Brilliant, we can do that. This one's going to be the same, so we're going to put in a double bed there, fireplace. We can copy these, you know, think of it like the IKEA model sort of thing. They're going to have similar kind of furniture in these rooms. Now these lamps, I'm happy with one each side of these. These are the posh rooms, remember, so we can put same there. And what about our master bedroom over here? Let's put it on this wall here. That's good. And for our, we can put one on each wall. Okay, doesn't need to be huge amounts of lighting and stuff like that. That's fine. Bring your candles with you. That's easy peasy. Now we must remember that we've got a corridor here that is potentially going to be very dark. So let's put a lamp in there. One there. I'm going to remove these things from the corridor because they do add clutter without necessarily adding value, if you know what I mean. This is another corridor down here. Get rid of the candles. I don't want candles for these rooms. That's not the aesthetic that I want. I don't like wall-mounted candles. I don't really know why. I just don't. They don't kind of work for me. That's fine. That's going to be quite a dingy corridor, but that's okay because, you know, people carry their own light sources around. We've got this room over here. We're going to put a couple more bunk beds in here. This is going to be a bit more of a private kind of room. I'm going to move that. I'm going to stick it over there. I'm going to put a bunk bed in there. You can do it. Turn collisions off. Thank you very much. We're going to put a bunk bed in there. Put the pillow up the other end. That's fine. And we're going to put a double bed in here. Put collisions back on, and it will snap. We're going to put it there. All right, and we're going to put a unit in there. Okay, so there's room for us to move around and explore and stuff like that without being massively cluttered. So these are obviously the posh rooms. They've got this. I'm wondering actually if we need something like a desk or a table in any of these. Do you know what? No. This room. So we're nearly there, right? We're nearly done. We will be doing some decoration because decoration is laborious but also fun. That's just completely contradict myself. We're going to put in a wash tub. So let's stick the wash tub in over here. Okay, so that if people want to come and wash, they actually can. We can take some towels and we can put those in here, and we can put a couple of dresser type of units in here as well. So let's put 2 of those in there. Do we want lighting in here? We should have lighting in here. Let's put it next to the door because that makes the most sense. I'm also going to jump downstairs. I'm going to copy that and pop a candle in here as well. And I think I might pop a candle down here next to the bath. Okay, cool. So this is wrong way. This is basically done. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I could save this and just go with this as it is, but it is supposed to be Icewind Dale. So let's have a look through and see what we can find. I'm going to search for snow and see what we come up with. Oh, right. Okay. So we're going to have to type snow in every search, are we? This is going to... Oh, I see. Is this going to search everything in this area? That's all right. So I think this is searching everything in placeables. We don't want necessarily big clumps of snow and stuff like that. We don't want ice things. What I do want is things like skis and stuff. Now, these might be oversized. We can change the size of them. But we can put some skis against the wall. Should be some snowshoes, surely. Snowshoes make a bit more sense. Now, look, I mean, look at the size of those feet. They're huge. So I'm going to put them down. I'm going to shrink that to make a bit more sense. And we are going to put some snowshoes in a couple of different places. I'm going to turn collisions off so we can pop these down. There's some snowshoes by the door there. I might put some snowshoes in the storeroom. And I think we will put some snowshoes upstairs as well, possibly on the top of that dresser, maybe some there. We don't want to go mad, but you know, at least it's slightly themed. Again, these are huge, so we're going to pop them down to be slightly more realistic size. I'm going to put some skis on top of that wardrobe, you know, on top of whatever it is. It's not a wardrobe. So we've got some skis against the wall. We're going to put some skis down there. Brilliant. So people are coming in, they're taking their skis off, their snowshoes off, etc., which makes a bit more sense. So don't want to accidentally rotate that. That's what I did with the sofa for... Who was it? Apologies, I've forgotten your name, who very kindly pointed out that the previous map that I did, one of the sofas was leaning through the wall trying to steal cookies from the kitchen, which was really nicely put. And it was that. I accidentally had it selected and obviously had rotated it instead before saving it, and I'd had a sofa sticking through the walls. All right. Now, at least one of you is going to go, oh, you've missed something, because I'm bound to have missed something. I know what I am going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put collisions back on. I'm going to stick that in the corner, or otherwise that's a funny weird little kind of area there. But I think this is going to suffice for us. Is it too cluttered for moving tokens around? It might be, isn't it? We come in here, we can get to the bar, squeeze past people. I think these 3 tables here are too cluttered. I'm going to move that one over slightly. And move this one over slightly. I think that's slightly better. We can do that. I'm going to take that footstool away. There we go. So we've got room to get through. I think that's a bit better. Now, any of these things that, you know, happy for them to walk over that. Let's get that proper. There we go. That's a bit better. Now, of course, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and I am going to upload this as well. So if you want to download this, you can. And if you've got Dungeon Alchemist, you can download it, and then you can change it however you want. Of course you can. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to export export these as the green screen versions, turn them into tiles, and again, for you patrons, there will be a tile version for you available through Patreon. So if you want to grab that, you can just download that, all right, and then you've got your copy. So you don't need to come into Dungeon Alchemist and do all your own exporting or anything like that. And if you don't have Dungeon Alchemist, you can still just use the maps, right? So I'm not pretending any of this is perfect. I am not pretending, I've gone underground, that I am the best map maker in the world at all. But if you're looking for a tavern and you haven't got one, there's loads of them out there. If you want to use mine, fantastic. If you don't, don't. I'm building this for my use anyway, so you know, no love lost if nobody else uses them at all. Just making sure I am saving that as the Northlook. So yeah, I have. Now, of course, what I want to do is I do want to go to my background for me. I'm going to make that into a green screen. Click it. Well, yeah, going to take a couple of seconds, and I'm also going to change the size of this and bring this down. So I've only got. I'll bring it up down that way as well. So I've just got the one square around this, again just for efficiency of tiles. Now the easiest way when you convert these, by the way, if you want to make sure they work in Foundry really well, is you just count how many squares your actual tile is. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. So I am 15 by 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So I've got 15 by 12. I'm just writing that down because my brain is rubbish. 15 by 12. And then how many DPI do you want it? So if you want it at 300 DPI or 150 TPI, you just times that by that, and that's the size that you're going to want your image. I can show you if you like. Let's export this. Turn off the grid square. The amount of times I export it, because it defaults with grid on, is annoying. All layers. Thank you very much. That's what I want to do. It's going to dump it in here called the Northlook. I'm not using the JSON files because I'm using it for multi-level. Right, that's in there. Give me a second. Let me switch over to my other program, and then I'll show you what I then do with that. Give me a moment. Right, so I've jumped over to Pixlr Express because it's easy, simple to use. I'm an idiot and I can do it. I don't want to be in that folder. I want to go to my Dungeon Alchemist one, and I want to find my, not Elf Song, my Northlook. So it's going to give me Northlook 00 and Northlook 01. Let's do the ground floor first, and we're going to open this up. Here it is. Here is our map. We can zoom in. You can see it's kept its resolution pretty darn well. Absolutely fine for what we need. We want to get rid of the green, so for me I go to cut, remove. I'm going to put up the tolerance on that. Boom, there we go, green's gone. Now you do occasionally get this, which annoys me. And Dungeon Alchemist, if you haven't got the right walls, it's sometimes, if you've got different wood walls and stone walls, you get a tiny little gap between them, damn it, and it leaves it green. And it kind of is quite glaring, so I'm just, there we go, that'll do. Get rid of the really bright bits. The other bits, it's not enough. That little slightly green halo, it's fine, not worried about that. But what I do need to do is, now I've done this, now that's transparent all the way around there, I do want to resize this. I'm going to change my image size. I'm going to keep my aspect ratio, and working on 150 pixels per 5 foot, which is pretty darn high. It's 2250, I think the maths was. So I'm going to do that. We're going to resize it. There's our map, all ready to go, that will fit our grid of 150 pixels. I can now save this as a PNG, change the name to ground floor. Done. Close that, open the other one. So, I mean, it's a bit of a pain that you've got to do this extra step, and I really hope that one of the things that Dungeon Alchemist does is give you a transparent background rather than green screen. That would be a magic. That's really going to help. And I would also like it to give you options of your exporting on DPI. That doesn't mean you can't do it, because I've not actually looked at that just heading off before somebody in the comments goes, you muppet. You might be able to, but it's not one of the export kind of options of actually setting the DPI, so it would be nice if you can do that as your export. Right, we've cleared that. Again, no, we haven't got the green issue here, which is good. We're going to resize our image. Now, of course, it's the same size, so that was 2250. Apply that. It's going to make it correct size. Just make sure I've applied that. I'm going to save. And this, of course, is going to be the first floor. That's it. Job done. So this is now ready to go, and these tiles, they are sized correctly. They're gridded, or they're sized correctly for the grid. If I zoom in, you can see that that looks perfectly acceptable. No harm, no foul, all good. Ready for us to export straight into Foundry VTT and use. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. We've done that before. That's it. We're done. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you've enjoyed this video. If you managed to get this far, clearly you have enjoyed watching me blunder around and make mistakes and stuff like that. Let me know if you watch to the end, because that's really appreciated. And if you want me to do more, I can. I'm not going to do tons of these because they're much slower building when I'm talking as well, and I don't want this channel just to turn into map building, because a lot of you are not here for that. So we're not going to do millions of them, but I just kind of wanted to round off this kind of little series at looking at Dungeon Alchemist and being able to pull these things together and get them ready. So you've seen that whole process from completely blank map, creating a tavern, exporting it ready for Foundry. With more practice, you will get much quicker at it than me, for example. Right, that's it. I'm going to call this one to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Do appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment, all of that good stuff. And of course, if you want access to these maps, you will be able to download them from Dungeon Alchemist and then play with them and do what you like with them. If you don't have Dungeon Alchemist, or you're just after the images, they are available on my Patreon channel for my patrons. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Have a great week.